Welcome, everyone, back to a special edition of the USFL Podcast Player Interview Series. James Larsen here with the USFL Newsroom. Today, I'm joined by Mark Thompson, USFL Offensive Player of the Year and current free agent running back. How you doing today, Mark?
I'm great, bro. I'm great. How you?
Doing great, man. Thanks for coming on today. And we got a lot to talk about. There's so much going on in the world of not just the USFL, but spring football in general. We've got merger talks. We've got free agency talks. Right off the bat, I'd love to hear your initial thoughts on everything going down in USFL free agency right now. There's been a lot of moving pieces, a lot of players jumping ship, and a lot of drama that you've kind of been a part of.
A little bit. Yeah. Well, in terms of the free agency and everything like that, honestly, it's cool to see. It's cool to see everybody, go where they want to go where they feel most comfortable, where they're most wanted. And everyone has the same goal, just to really play it to their best ability. And hopefully, they end up with a ring or they end up with an opportunity if that's, their goal as well. That's really about it on free agency. Anything else is kind of like, like most players, just waiting it out and seeing how everything unfolds and knowing where my best landing spot is. If it isn't Houston, if it's somewhere else, just having to figure out where home is at.
Right. And, like you said, there's a lot of uncertainty right now, not just in USFL free agency, but, we've got the merger talks going on between the XFL and the USFL. But October 1st really kind of marked a very unique time. And I just talked to Cam Eccles-Looper, my guy over there. He just joined the Breakers. But we were kind of talking about how this free agency period, it's kind of giving the USFL more of a legitimate feel, right? Of course, it's been a professional league the last 2 years, but now that we have like legitimate free agency going on, I don't know what your take might be on this, but it starts to kind of give this league more of a professional feel, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. Free agency, like I know, just to make it to this point is historical, is like groundbreaking because of the history of every other league that there has been. I don't know, man. It's, it's a lot to take in. It definitely feels real. I mean, it is real. It's real football. But more importantly, it's like, when you're a free agent, most guys haven't, myself included, made it to a free agency ever in their life. It's been like, I'm at this school, I'm going to go to this school. Okay, I don't like it here, I'll transfer to this school. And, they get their stint in the league. And, a lot of guys are fortunate enough to stay where they start. A lot of guys are unfortunate that after that first contract, they're done. So a lot of guys don't make it to a free agency. So to be a part of a free agency in a professional league, no matter how big or small it is, I'm sure in 20 years, it'll be way bigger than it is now. We're just setting the groundwork for it. And, starting this free agency is part of that groundwork. This is the first free agency. So it's exciting for sure, man. I'm on Twitter. I'm very active. I follow and retweet and favor all the news from the USFL just to hopefully spread it a little bit more. And, I'm all the way behind the league. It's a great opportunity for everyone. I know everyone says that. It's probably like overkill at this point, but it's the truth. It's a great opportunity to have an opportunity to play football, put something on tape, show yourself and others what you can do. And, it's football. Everyone loves football.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at just what spring football has been able to accomplish the last couple of years, not just when it comes to opportunities for the players within the leagues, but like between the XFL and the USFL, this year, we had over 100 guys sign NFL contracts, hundreds of guys getting workouts, tryouts, yourself included. So it's just across the board. I just think it's fantastic for the landscape of professional football. To touch a bit more on just your experience in the USFL the past couple of years, what's it been like for you? I know you've dealt with some injuries here and there and, some inconsistent play just as a team in general, but overall, I mean, you crush it. Offensive player of the year this year. What was that like for you just setting that record when it comes to rushing touchdowns and just dominating from start to finish?
So this is a main reason why I wanted to join this podcast, because there's a lot of unclear things surrounding me. So, okay, for instance, we can go back to season one. So to answer the question in, the best way I can, season one was cool. The opportunity, the whole draft process, going to Birmingham, us all being in the hub, it was something different. I've never been a part of anything like that. It was really, really cool. And at the, I guess, what week was that? Whenever we played Pittsburgh, I think that was week 4, maybe season 1, week 4,
Week
week
five.
6, week 5, right in the middle of those two. And I jumped over. I tried to jump over the cornerback when I ran to the outside, and what had happened was a D lineman caught me under my arm and kind of slammed me down into the ground, and that's
Oof.
my where my injury came from season 1. But obviously I played through it, which I know not everyone plays through injuries. And it was tough, and definitely I couldn't really put my best self out there. I had a little bit of bright spots after that, but really I couldn't do anything. I'm a strong runner. I'm a running back. Period. I use my shoulders. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was tough. So fast forward to season 2, um, and this is why I kind of laughed or smiled. I wasn't hurt. I was never injured this year at all. I missed the first game because since out in the open, because of what Jamarius put out there into the public, which happened in 2021 before the league even existed. So the first year of the league, and I'm probably telling a lot of things that is going to be news to a lot of people, and it's all over with now, so I feel comfortable talking about it. They weren't going to let me in the league, period, and it
Wow.
always dumbfounded me because this happened when the league didn't exist. I wasn't even playing football. I had no desire to play football. My girlfriend would tell you the same thing. I had no desire to play football. I wanted to be like a therapist,
Wow.
psychiatrist. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. I was done with football. Um, and my agent and herself and Daryl called me before the draft and asked me about the situation. He said, "Hey, if anything else comes up, if you have to serve jail time or anything like that because of it, you're going to get kicked out of the league. Is that okay?" And I told him, "Yeah, that's fair." I told him, "Hey, I didn't do what was, said that I did, and I'm definitely going to beat this case. Things didn't work out the way I wanted to, but I didn't, in a way, lose." And I'll touch more on that when we get more on that. But to fast forward back to year 2, so I got suspended the first game as a punishment for that. So I
Gotcha.
was never hurt, but obviously, I watch games. I've heard commentary. Everyone says, "Oh, Mark Thompson was injured week 1, da da da." I was never hurt. I was just serving a suspension for something that happened way before the league existed. So yeah, they weren't going to let me play the first season. I didn't know I was playing in that Michigan game until like the day before the game. I had no idea I was playing. So the second season going up to Michigan, I didn't know what was going to happen. Daryl told me like, "Hey, they're going to put some consequences in place for what you did. The panel wants to talk to you again about it and everything like that." And just be honest and tell them the truth. Obviously, it's resolved now. As for everyone who knows public information, yes, I'm on probation, and I'm still an amazing guy on and off the field. You know what I mean? That's a whole story in itself of what actually
Right.
happened that day. I've never even gotten to tell my story to anyone. Only people who know are my friends, my family, and that's it. Who actually knows my side of the story. So I was suspended that first game. Cool, whatever. They unfortunately we lost that game. And it hurt. I was watching on TV and I'm just like, oh man, like, I know I would have made a difference. So then you go to week 2, I was ready, set to play Breakers week 2. And people don't know about this. This is crazy. So before games, I don't do it anymore, but I used to faithfully get an IV before games, stay hydrated. I'm a sweater. I don't know if you can see on TV, but I'm freaking sweating a lot.
You're out
So
there
I get
working,
an IV.
man.
Yeah. I get an IV before every game. So I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but what had happened, we're in Birmingham, about to play the Breakers. Everything's going great. Laying on the table, everyone's hyped up. I'm hyped up. I'm about to play. The doctor wasn't there. So a nurse or someone else gave me an IV. And when they gave me the IV, the doctor came in, I guess, like a quarter of the way through it. And he looked at it and he was like, "Oh, I don't really like how they did this. It's not pumping fast enough. I'm going to redo it." So he took the needle out of my arm. He didn't flush it. So let's start there. I don't know how much you know about the process, but he didn't flush the tube, with meaning there was air in it. He, I guess, made the stream stronger from the IV fluid down into my arm, the saline down into my arm. And he just put it back in my arm. So when the bag ran out, obviously there's other things going on. People getting taped, other people need IVs. It's a training room for the games. It's hectic. Um, so no one was really watching. So when the IV ran out, they let the air that was in there go into my arm. So immediately I heard the bag finish, and then I heard the air going into my arm, bro. And
That's
immediately I felt it
crazy.
going up my veins and everything like that. And then I'm freaking out. I'm like, "Yo, this isn't supposed to be happening." I'm like, "What's going on? What's going on? Someone take the shit out." Excuse my language, but I'm reenacting. I'm saying verbatim. I'm like, someone take this ish out, take this ish out. Like, I don't know what's going on. I can feel it in my head. My ears had popped. So obviously something's not right. So they're like, everyone's like, Mark, just calm down, just calm down. I'm like, no, something's not right. I try to get up. I fall to the ground. My motor skills gone. Fall to the ground. I'm like, damn near seasoned, bro. And anyone on my team can vouch. I'm not just making anything up. Like, they kept this under wraps. I was injured. So I couldn't move. They carried me to the bathroom because I'm like, yo, I have to use the bathroom. Like, my body was doing what my body does. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care. As you saw, I don't really have a lot of shame. I'll tell the truth. They carried me to the bathroom, in the visitor locker room because I had to pee or whatever. They tried to let me stand up to pee. I fell to the ground, and I soiled myself. It is what it is. I'm a grown man. I don't care. You know what I mean? I soiled myself, and I was just sitting there on the ground. Mind you, I have on my pregame fit still. I have on my shirt and my jeans. And I don't know what shoes I had on. Sure, they were nice. But, I'm sitting there on the bathroom ground, soiling myself, and the trainer's telling me, like, you're overreacting. Just calm down. You're overreacting. You're doing too much, da, da, da. And I'm like, bro, I'm not overreacting. I really am feeling this. And everyone on my team is like, yo, he's not, he doesn't act like that. He doesn't play around like that. There's really something wrong with him.
Right,
And,
right.
I thought I was lying. And funny enough, I call him out by name. The doctor's name was Kevin. I know he's a Birmingham trainer, doctor, something. Kevin O'Brien, something like that. And he worked for Miami, and he had an incident before. And I'm putting this out there because, like, people should know. He had an incident before where I think one of his trainers was getting bullied or harassed by an offensive or defensive lineman on the Dolphins. And the trainer told him, and he didn't do anything about it. So I guess when they did their internal investigations, all that stuff, they let him go because, you can't do that. So that just kind of goes to show, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to try to put anything out there, but it's just like, obviously this dude has a track record of, not making the best decisions all the time. I'm sure he's a great doctor. I'm sure he's a great person, but it's like, man, my life was on the line and you were telling me I'm doing too much. I'm overreacting. Like, stop it. Just calm down. It's like, bro, I genuinely had thoughts of impending doom. I thought I was going to die. I've never felt like that in my life. I've
That
caught
is
COVID before.
wild.
Yeah, bro, I caught COVID before. Season 1, I caught COVID. And
And
to
this
say
is all like right before you were supposed to play, like within hours.
about 30 minutes.
Dang.
So the team goes out to warm up and everything like that. I'm inside the trainer's room. They bought EMTs there. They bought New Orleans doctor, whatever doctors that were there. They all came in. Daryl came in. It was hella people in there. Gave me EKG and everything just to make sure I was good. And they're telling me, like, you're good. You're fine. If you want to play, you can. So I go on the field just to see. And I'm like, I can't play. My body don't feel right. So now I go back in and my GM's like, are you up? Are you down? Are you playing? And I'm just kind of looking at him like, are you serious right now? Like, you saw everything that just transpired. Are you really asking me if I'm going to play? So Coach CJ, he came up to me and my running back coach, and they're like, look, I don't know what happened, but it looked bad. We don't want you to play this game. You know what I'm saying? He told me, if you want to play, you can play, but I understand if you don't want to play, you don't have to play. Call my agent. My agent's like, Mark, you better not go on that field. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I didn't play. And then obviously you could see my frustration because I think that's the game that like a mini scuffle unfolded and I came up off the bench because I mean, like, I was in game mode. I was ready to play. This stuff
Right,
happened 30
right.
minutes in the game. So I saw number 4, starting something with, I don't know who the player was, but I just got in there and I just tried to break him up. And when I broke them up, I put my hand on his shoulder pad and it went up to his neck. And the ref saw that. And immediately I pulled my hand away, but it was already too late. They threw the flag, ejected me or
Of
whatever.
course.
But then when they looked back at it, that's why I didn't miss the next game. They looked back at it like, oh, you really were just trying to break a fight up. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So they took my suspension away. So I was
Okay.
able to play that Memphis game, or else that would have been 3 games I couldn't even play. It would have been terrible.
I guess
So
third time's a
that's
charm.
yeah. So that's what happened. I was never. I mean, I guess you could technically consider that injured, but I was never injured off of football or anything I did. You know what I'm
Right. That was
saying?
just like a freak accident before the game. Like I've never even heard of anything quite like that. That's insane.
Yeah, that's the true story. And like I said, anyone on my team will vouch and say, yeah, he's telling the truth.
Right on.
Um,
Wow.
so yeah, that's kind of what I honestly like wanted to clear up as far as me missing those first 2 games. I was never injured, and just that, like, I'm a running back. So when you say injured, it's like, running back injured. Nah, like, knock on wood. I played in the SEC, played junior college, played my stints in the NFL and the USFL. Never had like an injury that made me miss time. Even when I had my shoulder injury, I played through it. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
to an extent, you know what I mean? So, and I've never had any lower extremities, nothing major, I'll say. I've had stuff. Everyone gets hurt, but I've never been injured because there's a big difference.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Yeah. So that's really, when talking about the quote unquote injury, and I know that's been floating around and everything like that, that's what happened. And it was unfortunate and it sucked because I think we would have won those two games if I played them. Late in the New Orleans game, we're on offense. We have the ball. I think we're winning. All we need, or it's tied up. All we need to do is kick a field goal and we win. And we throw the ball. We put the ball in. We put the ball in the quarterback's hands in a moment of the game where really the running backs, whoever the running back is, should be getting the ball or draining the clock. 4 minute drill. You know what I mean?
Right,
He
right.
throws a pick. I think they march down and score. We lose. The first game could have definitely a running game would have definitely helped. And TJ was holding it down. He did this thing. I think he had 2 touchdowns that game. On the goal line, it's hard to score on the goal line. You know what I'm saying? Everyone knows this is it, and we got to stop you. And he got in twice. But I just know if I was there, I would have contributed as well. I don't know how. Maybe I score, maybe I don't. But I know I'm there, and I know me being there, my presence means something.
Oh, no doubt.
Uh,
I mean, I feel like it's kind of safe to say that that the offensive player of the year would make an impact in games. So,
you'd hope, yeah, you'd hope, and it just sucked having to miss. And after that New Orleans game, after we drove back, when we got off the bus, we got back to Memphis. I drove myself to the hospital. I spent the whole night in the hospital, like the whole night after that game in the hospital, just to make sure I didn't have embolism, make sure everything was fine. It was terrible, man. It was. I think Regions One is the hospital I went to, and they kept me overnight. I missed practice and everything the next day because I was still in the hospital because they wanted to run so many tests. I think I got an MRI, I got an X-ray, I got like 3 different tests, and they said everything was okay. But they told me they gave me a note saying I can't return to football activity for a week. But obviously threw that note away, and I returned back to football activity. And I was fine and played Memphis. I was a little winded that first drive when I scored. I think I got the ball 5 times, 6 times in a row. Um, I was tired, but that was the moment where I said to myself, "Yeah, like I'm good to go. Like I'm back."
right,
You know what I mean?
right. Probably
So
that moment too. You're like, all right, this season's gonna be something different.
yeah, completely. So yeah, that's really I think all I have to say on that. I don't remember what the question was, but I just wanted to put that
We
out
covered a
there.
lot there on that. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
no idea that you missed the games. Obviously, we just all assumed it was some injury, maybe a tweak in practice or something that led up to that. So that's crazy information that I'm definitely
I told
excited
you, I
to
told you I'd give
drop
you the
on this
scoop.
episode when we release it. That's insane.
Yeah,
Um,
I told you I'd give you the real scoop, man. I told you ain't nothing off limits. If it's truly off limits, I'll just be like, yeah, I can't really speak on it, but
right, right.
most things I can speak on.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. So moving forward from that, obviously you
Mhm.
won Offensive Player of the Year. I know things didn't go exactly the way your team wanted down the stretch of the season, but
Right.
to be in the second season of the USFL where you really establish yourself as one of the, if not the top running back in the league, what was it like this season, just kind of coming off of those injuries and then kind of proving yourself throughout the rest of the year?
Um, that's a good question. What was it like proving myself for the rest of the year? It just felt like regular scheduled programming to me, man. I think I was just so excited just to be back out there and playing football. Our team was great. Our defense, I had question marks about our defense because we dang near lost our whole defense. So we had a brand new defense. They played outstanding. And those are a great group of guys on that side of the ball. And offensively, I practiced every day. So everyone on the team knew, what it was. I'm sure the game plan offensively relied heavily around me. So when I didn't play, um, and this is the way it should be. Guys on the team, they lost faith. I'm sure some coaches lost faith. I'm sure people around the league lost faith. Like, oh, what I'm saying? That's how it is in football, in any sport. When you're not doing what you're supposed to do, people don't believe as much. So I generally had a lot of things to prove to me and to my teammates. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in practice every day. I'm very vocal. I'm yelling at guys to get better. I'm helping guys out to get better. And then I missed the first 2 games. What does that look like? So when I came to that third game, I had to make a statement anyway I could. How? And I believe that's what I did. And it just felt amazing every single week. It felt amazing. Even the losses, you know what I mean? When guys fight hard, and give it all they got, you'll be upset if the result isn't what you want it to be. But at the same time, it's like, can you be mad at them or are you just upset about how things turned out? So,
Right.
things didn't go the way we wanted them to. But at the same time, I could definitely vouch saying that, a lot of those guys put their best foot forward and wanted to win. So,
Oh, absolutely. And to speak on one of your performances in particular, now I was down there on the sidelines week 4 when you guys played Philly, and I was taking photos. You
yeah.
went crazy. I mean, that was an insane performance to watch. I think probably, at least in my opinion, maybe you could speak to this, that felt like the most complete game you guys played the whole year.
That or Birmingham, yeah. Birmingham the first time. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, week 5. Yeah, right. Yeah, you guys went on a hot streak there for a while, which actually I have a question about that too, because, the South
Hmm.
Division compared to the North Division, like just two completely different stories, right? I mean, you had
Yeah.
Birmingham and New Orleans winning 7 and 8 games there, and then in the North, you had 2 4 and 6 teams make it. Was that kind of like a weird dynamic for you guys? Because you finished the season 5-5, you were at the 500 mark, and you have 4 and 6 teams making the playoffs in the North.
Well, you can't really concern yourself with that. It's not a side of the conference. You know what I'm saying? Not a
Right,
side of the league. I mean, if they're 4-6, hey, they're 4-6. But our division or our side of the conference was different. Teams like you said, 7-8 wins, and then I think did us and Memphis had end with the same record, 5-5, or did they
yeah,
go 4? Yeah, so it was a tough division for sure. Um, I've still respected every team in the North, regardless of their record. You got to think. I mean, even though we had our way with Philly, it wasn't like that when we played the other teams. I mean, we lost to one of them. Um, New Jersey was a dogfight, and Pittsburgh we won because the kicker missed the field goal. He blew it. No pun
right,
intended. So yeah, it's just yeah, the 4-6. You can't really just look at record and judge teams. You have to
right,
go on the
right.
field or coach against them to really be like, oh man. And do I think we could have did some things differently and maybe not lost the game we lost or the games we lost and maybe won those games we won by larger margins? Of course. But it's hard to get wins in this league or any league. So
Right. Yeah, I guess, probably in your opinion, you feel like you probably should have made the playoffs, but, a couple things just didn't work out the way you wanted them to, and here we are.
yeah.
But that's the exciting thing now, heading towards season 3, whether or not you're a Houston Gambler, there's just so many moving pieces, and who knows what the Houston team's going to look like in 2024, because, there's some big news coming out that these leagues are intending to merge. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that, and, of course, spring football in general. Right now, it's not the biggest scene on the planet. You kind of have fans of the XFL and the USFL. Some of them are split between. But if there is a way to unite these leagues, it really feels like it could give spring football a permanent platform. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that both leagues, if they merge, is just gonna make a bigger league. Now, the only issue, the only problem that you run into is the logistics. Obviously, I don't think it's very smart to bring all 16 teams just because of travel. Traveling costs money,
Right.
and I think that's why a lot of leagues fail. I mean, there could be other reasons, obviously, but I think travel. I mean, that costs money. Having a hub in each city or having each team in their own city costs money. So I think the USFL model is good. I don't know verbatim, but I read it somewhere. Just kind of crawl and walk and then run, and I think that's
Hmm.
what we're doing. We don't. I know the fans hate it, but I mean, we don't need to be in all of our cities immediately. Let us build the league up in 5, 10 years. God willing, we'll be in those cities. There'll be more teams. We'll be more popular, and you'll be able to say, you know what, I was there to believe in them in the beginning, and look like we have football all year round now. In
Exactly.
terms of like free agency and if people were to lose their job, say there's a merger and they only bring 12 teams, so then what is that, 4 teams that don't come in, so you got to deal with the jobs and everything like that. That's way above me. So I mean, that's the DOJ, I believe, and all those type of entities and things, they'll figure that out, and I hope they do something that people who are out of a job, they're compensated in some type of way, or they at least get a chance or opportunity to remain or stick around. Now, for the players, I think that's real easy to do. Put them in a draft pool, put them in free agency, have a draft that has all of them, like a supplemental draft. For the coaches now, that gets a little tougher because I mean, you're a
Right.
coach. If we got our coaching staffs, we're not looking for more coaches. So, I think from a player standpoint, it's not really that big a deal. So that's kind of why we're all just waiting. But honestly, for the coaches, it's kind of scary. You know what I mean? If your team doesn't make it,
No, absolutely. I mean,
it,
yeah, if you go down
yeah.
from 16 to 12 teams, there can only be 12 head coaches. So it's like, what are you going to do with some of those staffs and some of those guys? And, speaking of which, the XFL had just recently moved their assistant coaches from full-time gigs to part-time. So we could see just some of those guys
Mm-hmm.
just fall off altogether just because they haven't re-signed, contracts for next year anyways. Um,
Right.
but yeah, to circle back real quick to your comment on like the whole hub system, I wholeheartedly agree with you there because I think that's one of my biggest issues with some of the fans in the spring football scene. I mean, of course we want to see 8 teams, 8 cities. I mean, the
Right.
fans are what makes football football. But at the end of the day, would we rather have hub football or no football. And I feel like for spring football to survive, I mean, ideally, again, like you said, crawl, walk, run. They're taking things slowly. And as we've seen, year one, we had one hub. Year two, four hubs. Year three, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with this merger, but we know there's going to be
Right.
expansion. And again, it's that kind of building from the ground up. And I'm sure you've seen it, from guys like Daryl Johnson, et cetera, within Fox Sports, just kind of building this legitimate and professional organization, not moving too quick, but also not moving too slow.
Yeah, no, 100%. And another thing I left out, and it's like the main thing in my opinion, is we gotta get paid more, man. It is what it is. Like I know they're making enough money that they can put a little bit more money in our pocket. Or I even said, I think I proposed something on Twitter. Give every team like a fixed amount of money and let them disperse it how they want to. If they want to pay everybody the minimum, and then there's some guys who they think are more deserving, give them that. If they want to implement win bonuses on their team, give them that. If they want to implement incentives, give them that. But just, I feel like it has to be something figured out because I keep running into this same thought with everyone that I talk to, whether it's coach, player, you, a fan, family, is if everyone's getting paid the same, we might as well just all go to the same team. But if we do that, it's going to ruin spring football. So
Right.
it's like it's either like, and I know guys want to win. We don't we care that they're spring football, but honestly, it's not our job to keep it running. It's our job to perform. It's our job to execute. It's our job to win. So we all want to win. Why wouldn't we just all go to the same team? We're all getting the same pay. So I mean, none of us are more special than the other. In terms
Right.
of financial. In the NFL, most sports, that's what really determines who stays around and who goes. If you're got a $10 million contract guy and a guy who you're paying what 750, whatever 850 the minimum is, you're probably going to keep the 10 million. And you know what I'm saying? He's probably going to play. He's probably going to get the ball. 750 guys on the chopping block. I mean, everyone watching this who's an athlete can speak on that too because they've probably been part of it or know someone who has been a part of it. So money is going to be a big thing no matter what I believe. But who cares what I believe? I just know that that's a big reason why I haven't signed anywhere yet. That's definitely one of the reasons why. Because if we're all getting the same, then let me sit back, relax, and see where everyone else goes, and then make my decision based off of that.
Right. No, that makes sense. I mean, of course, on your side, you probably have a little bit more leverage too there. I mean, you're out the offensive player of the year. And at the same time, we have to figure out what the heck is going to happen with this merger, right? Which teams stay,
Right.
which teams go. What are things looking like personnel wise? I mean, obviously, there's some coaches that you've been working with for a while, some others that you might not have. And that's another point too with this merger, like you mentioned with the pay structure. Maybe we can see something like that within a merger where you do have, different pay grades for different players, just depending and like you said, incentives, bonuses, things like that for a player like yourself who's already proven themselves through the last couple of years. Your thoughts on, what we could see in a merger, whether it's 10, 12, 16 teams, and some of the things that you would like to see in the new league.
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. I think whew, hmm, I would just like to see. I mean, if we merge, the thing is, do we need to expand anymore, or do we need to like centralize the hubs so that it's easier for everyone? Because say we take what was the proposal? Six of their teams, six of our teams have 12 teams. It's like, all right, what 12 teams are those going to be? Or is it going to be two and two? Are y'all going to take four off of y'all? Are we just going to pick which teams, go and stay? And they need to geologically, in my opinion, they need to figure it out to make it the easiest for everyone to travel. Because imagine being in Birmingham, imagine being a breaker or a stallion, and they keep the Seattle team, and then you got to fly to Seattle and then fly back. I don't know how long that flight is. I've never taken it, and hopefully I never have to because that sounds like a long flight. Um, but that just gives such an advantage to the Seattle team, if hypothetically speaking, that they're in the league and they're a team that we have to travel to.
Right.
And the flip side goes, shoot, what about when they have to travel? I'm sure that's going to be taxing on them. So I just think that and I think the logistics is the easy part, honestly. I think the harder part is them figuring out what they're going to do with whoever gets disbanded so that everyone's treated fairly. I think once
Right.
that the merger is like signed off on and it's official that it's happening and they got to just do football stuff now, I think it'll go like that. It's football. It's simple. It's easy. But
Exactly. And
yeah,
both
it's
leagues have
part
pretty
hard.
solid executives in place who they can figure their stuff out. Like they've got plenty
Yeah.
of experience between, the XFL staff, the USFL staff. I mean, these are guys that are proven. But as you mentioned, I mean, yeah, a trip from Seattle to Birmingham would be a little tough.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, and granted, NFL teams do it, but they got so much more money that they're spending and that they can spend. Not to say the USFL doesn't want to, not to say the XFL doesn't want to. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they want to be just as big as the NFL one day. But, crawl, walk, run. The NFL
Right.
was founded, I don't even know, what, in the 30s or something like the 20s? Something like that,
Way
right?
beyond our time.
So I'm saying, and I know there wasn't 32 teams then. So, just be patient. Like, everything takes time. Everything in life takes time. You know what I'm saying? If you want it to be good, if you want it to work, it takes time. So there's no point in rushing. I know the one thing that I am always like, I hope this doesn't happen is I turn 34, 30, 33, 34, 35, and I'm like, all right, I need to hang it up. I'm done with football. And then they say, all right, we're going to make contracts now. And people want to buy the teams and everything like that. Cause I'm going to sit
Yeah.
there like, bro, cause that happens to me already with the NILs in college. I just
Right.
missed that. And even the transfer portal, I just missed that by a year to where I could transfer and just play. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
just to go back in the past, coming out of junior college, I'm a junior college guy. Coming out of junior college, I was the number one athlete in the country. You could look this stuff up. Number one, if not number two, behind Garrett Bowles. He's a tackle for the Broncos, I believe, still. I was number one, and two. So imagine the NIL I could have received. And then I went to Florida on top of that. And, a lot of people ain't going to like that I say this, but I wish I went somewhere else. The other coach or the other school that was heavy in my ear, and it's funny how life works out, was Louisville. They were my number two school, and the coach would fly out to Dodge City, Kansas. He flew out, Coach Colby, running backs coach, flew out there. I don't know if he's still there, 3 or 4 times to come see me, and would be like, just tell me why all the reason I should go to Louisville. And then the last time he came out to see me, he said, we have a special quarterback. We think he's really going to be the guy, and we love for you to be the running back beside him. If I was smart and listened, I've been playing with Lamar Jackson. And when I went to the NFL, I was playing with Lamar Jackson. So it's just kind of like everything in life is funny and happens. Things happen for a reason, I guess. I don't really fully believe in that. But at the same time, I truly think what you do in college dictates how you get treated at the next level, which I don't think is fair. I think you should get a fair chance if you sign me, give me a fair shot. I remember my running back coach in the NFL, Thomas Hammock, on the Ravens, my rookie year, brought me into his office, talked to me. I was killing it in camp. I was killing it in the preseason. He came in and laid a folder. Let me see. He gave me a folder, probably like this thick, bro. Labeled Mark Thompson. A bunch of stuff that I guess scouts found about me, coaches found about me, things like that. And he's like, yo, I was like, honestly, bro, most of the stuff isn't good. And it just made me feel some type of way because I'm like, yo, in Florida, no one even knew me for real. Like, no one took the time out to get to know me. Talking about front office, staff, coach. My coach, running back coach, Coach Skip did. We tight. That's my boy. I still talk to him to this day. But
Right.
outside of that, none of them coaches knew me. None of the staff knew me. I didn't go out all the time. I had my group of friends, but I stayed in the crib, played Xbox. That's just what I do. I'm an Xbox guy. So to have a file or a folder on me that big, and I know for a fact these people don't even really know who I really am.
Right. Right.
It hurt, and I know that held me back. You know what I'm saying? And everyone always says like, "Why aren't you in the NFL? You should be in the NFL." I truly, genuinely believe that there's someone that's gatekeeping me. It got to be. It got to be. I showed I could do everything that a team would want to do. You could ask. Well, I mean, I don't know if you can, but you could speak to people on my team and they tell you, yeah, he wanted to play special teams. He didn't want to just play running back. Literally, we do kickoff drill and practice, and we did a timer thing where they start at the 19, the kickoff, and run down. They have to get, I think, to the other 20 in 4 seconds, to 30, something like that. I would literally be on the sideline in the white, lined up with them, and run down there with them every time. After the first group goes, I jog back with the second group, or I jog back for the second group, run again, and not toot my own horn. I was the first one down there every time. But they just, because you don't play special teams, your chances of making it aren't as big. So I always want to play special teams. I'm
Right.
a punk guy. You know what I'm saying? But it got to a point where it's like, man, y'all not letting me show that I can be helpful outside of my main position. And I know that's what they're looking for on the next level. So I don't know if someone's gatekeeping me. I don't know if I'm just not showing what they want to see. They could throw the age thing at me, but it's like, bro, I'm only 28. I missed 2, 3 years of football, so my body doesn't even feel like 28. You know what I'm saying? So it's like control what you can control. That's the lamest saying ever. I hate that saying. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth, but it's so corny. But yeah, that's just kind of the boat that I've been in. I've always been the underdog. I've always had to prove myself. I always had to show that I could do what I do. I remember we were in camp this past season in March, and I'm 6'2", 240, whatever. but I don't move like it. So, we had a bunch of other backs in that were like, just not my size. I ain't gonna say they're a certain type of back. I think the guys can do it all, but they look like they're more suited to run routes. I say out the backfield, and it was just funny because one day CJ finally came in, our head coach, and was like, "Mark, you convinced me. You can come out the backfield and catch the ball." I'm like, "Bro, I've been telling you I could do that. I played wide receiver in college, before I even played running back. So I can play receiver, and you're a receiver coach. So of course I want to prove that I can catch to you. You know what I mean?"
Right, right.
Granted, I didn't get the ball out the backfield that often. That's has nothing to do with me or the coach. But I can catch. I can play special teams. I can play running back. I can even help out on some older guy, helping the younger guys out. Helping them along. It's just there's so many uses
Absolutely.
that
Be,
I have.
be a team player.
Yeah, there's so many uses that I have that for me not to have had multiple workouts, multiple interests is just there's something else going on. I'll never know what it is, but
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
again, like the NFL is so full of politics, right? And it really is amazing. And, just from talking to you and talking to some other players that I know and just personnel, it's like it is amazing how the tiniest little things will determine someone's entire career, whether it's
man,
politics or, someone not liking somebody, or again, like just these little details that really can define someone's entire career, even when it shouldn't. Um, I
yeah.
don't want to take up too much of your time here, but I'd love to hear
No,
real quick
you good, bro.
a couple of your thoughts on. I did this with my boy Cam, just kind of discussing where we might see some of these bigger names going. And I'll just throw out a name, and
Mm-hmm.
you let me know where you think they'd fit in on at least
Yeah,
right
we
now
can do that.
USFL teams, huh?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
So first up, a big name for me was DeAndre Johnson, General's quarterback. Where do you think he lands?
I've been talking to Dre for like the past week or two. I have no idea. I wanted him to come to Houston. But it's above me. My coaches got to want him to come. And I told him, if you come to Houston, we're not just handing a job to you. You got to show us that you can do it. But I think he fit real well in our offense. We like quarterbacks who run. We like quarterbacks who aren't afraid to take a chance. And I think Dre fits that. I think he fits that mold perfectly. He reminds me a lot of Terry, and Terry didn't really get to play as much as I think he should have. I was a Terry fan since day one. That's my guy. That's my roommate all through camp. But yeah, I talked to Dre. I told my coaches about Dre and everything like that. I wanted them to sign him, but it's not my decision. I'm just a
Right,
player. So
right.
all I can do is say, hey, he's interested. He wants to come here. I talked to other guys on our team. They all are a fan of him too and would like him to be there. But
We'll see
at
how
the
it
end of the
plays
day,
out.
the coaches want the best guy on the field, so it's up to them.
Right, 100%. It's funny you mentioned that because when I talked to Cam, he was like, I want to see him in New Orleans. So we'll see how that all plays out. Another guy
Yeah,
who I'm surprised hasn't signed anywhere yet is Vinny Papali. I feel like he's kind of been an underrated receiver the last couple of years. Who do you think he could
yeah.
fit in with?
Honestly, I think he should sign back to Memphis. I know they liked him there, and I don't know. I'm thinking around the league. I think he'd be good in Michigan too. I think Michigan lost two of their starters. They're 1 and 2 receiver, if I'm not
Yeah,
too
they
mistaken.
did.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot for really any receiver because it's wide open. I think New Jersey's the same way. I know they don't not to disrespect anyone who's already on those rosters, but as far as I know, receiver wise, I think he'd fit in there. We're stacked at receiver, so maybe not Houston. But yeah, I think Michigan, uh, New Jersey would definitely be good land spots for him. Yeah, Philly's pretty stacked at receiver. Houston's pretty stacked at receiver. New Orleans got their receivers. So yeah, Memphis either he goes back to Memphis or he travels to the north. Honestly,
Right on. Yeah, and one guy here that I think people aren't talking about this guy enough is Toby Johnson. He's been one of only two players to be two times all USFL. I'm sure you've had your fair
yeah,
share of trying to run up the middle and dealing with him
yeah,
right in the mix of things. Where do you think
yeah.
he goes? I mean, because it's kind of up in the air right now. He could go back to New Jersey. He
Um,
could end up somewhere else. He's got to have
so
plenty of
yeah,
interest.
yeah, and this goes back to me saying if anything's brought up that I can't speak on because I know, so I'm not going to speak on it. I don't want to. But
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, I know
All
he
good.
knows where he wants to go, and I don't say he knows where he wants to go, but he has an idea. He's trying to do some things, which we all should be trying to do these things and build the
Right.
best team we can. And yeah, I know he's one of the guys like me who's just kind of being patient and just letting everything play out and see what's going to happen, what the league's going to do, what the teams are going to do, and things like that.
100%, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so one final guy, and this guy could probably be in the same boat as Toby. But he's also, in my opinion, one of the best defensive players in the league, and I'm sure, again, a
Yeah.
guy that you've dealt with, Boogie Roberts. I mean, I feel like he's probably going back to Pittsburgh, but there's still a chance he ends up somewhere else.
Nah, I think Owen's going to go back to Pittsburgh. I don't see why he wouldn't go back to Pittsburgh. Y'all made
Right,
it to the chip, solid team. I believe he's just another guy who's just kind of waiting on to see what's going to happen. But I have no doubt that he signs back with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a great team.
right.
Great team. I'm surprised that running back didn't sign back with them. That's weird to me, but hey, I'm sure he has his reasons. Um, yeah, Pittsburgh's a great team, man. I like Pittsburgh for sure.
Yeah, that was a fun game between you two guys in week 8. I was actually there that one
Mhm.
too. That one
Uh,
came down to the wire.
yeah, as their coach said, 2 plays,
Yeah,
2 plays. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, nah, but
exactly.
I like Pittsburgh. I've heard a lot of great things about their coaching staff, their head coach, their defensive coordinator. Great guy for sure. They're all great. I don't even know all of them, but I've never heard anything bad about them. I remember after the game, Troy came up to me and he was like, "Man, why you had to do that to us?" And I was like, "Man, I'm just doing my job." You know what I'm saying? So I definitely got love for Pittsburgh for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, hey, they got the father-son coaching duo of Ray and Jaron, which is pretty cool. But
Yeah.
Mark, I think that about wraps it up for what I had for you today. Anything else you want to add, or
Cool.
I think we could probably wrap it up here.
Uh, I'm gonna get a ring this year. That's number one on my list now for obvious reasons. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna get a ring this year. If I don't, I don't. But best believe I'm gonna do everything in my power to get one, and I just want to end up on the team that's gonna put me in the best position to do that. And I know it's not Birmingham, so
I
that's
love it. Hey, it's ring season for Mark Thompson. And Mark, thanks again for joining me today on this special episode of the USFL podcast. Make sure you guys are following Mark on Twitter. He's very active. He's had lots of interesting conversations between other players and things going on there. But until next time, James Larsen with the USFL Newsroom, and make sure you tune in to the next player interview episode.
all right. Thanks, James. Thanks.